About 2 years ago, we realized that our video feeds could be taken from linear television and brought it over to digital. And one of the advantages that we had was very few carriage agreements, which required no authentication as it related to digital video. This allowed us to scale up tremendously over the course of time. I mean, we're now roughly 20 million unique visitors watching a month, about 200 million digital video views. To give you an idea, that puts us in the scale of some of the portals, Yahoo Finance, for instance, within the digital video world. But for us, what makes it more interesting is that we don't have to think about video as a platform. We could think about it as the experience. You know, I have a screen, I want to watch any type of experience that I could view. We could serve that up to you, whether it's linear television, digital video, your phone, or on any OTT device.
So let's talk about monetization on digital video and sort of what's working for you guys. Is it a direct sale? Is it programmatic? Is it a pre-roll? Is it bespoke, sponsored? I guess a bunch,
Sure.
But give us a kind of the various flavors.
Sure. So, you know, a lot of it right now is direct, but increasingly we're seeing more programmatic. And one of the reasons that we're able to do direct is simply because there's such a huge demand right now for digital video. Now, over the long term, I don't think that that demand will ever sustain itself at the level that it is today. So I think that the programmatic aspect of it will increase. While pre-roll tends to be the dominant area, and mid-roll as well, because we can scrape out the linear commercials and serve videos during the commercial breaks of monetization today, over time, one of the areas that I think that digital video will provide is depth. And what I mean by that is on the linear television feed, you have a start and you have a finish. When you digitize video, whether it's over a phone or a desktop or whether it's on an OTT device, you all of a sudden can add layers into the story itself. And I think that there will increasingly be a tremendous amount of bespoke advertising that will go into that area.
Cool, and let's talk about OTT and your efforts in that area in particular, and your distribution channels, how viewership is going, what that use case might be different from the phone or the desktop.
Sure. One of our big advantages is that we have very few carriage agreements, specifically in the United States. Having few carriage agreements means that we can broadcast our linear feed without user authentication. Without user authentication means that there's very few barriers to entry into being able to experience Bloomberg TV on an OTT device. That has been for us a huge advantage, whereas we may have been at a disadvantage for many years on the scale and penetration of our linear feed. Our digital feed can scale up tremendously. And so even though the marketplace had not been ready for OTT, and I think it's beginning to really change and turn this year, we've been able to grow this audience to millions upon millions of video views a month. For us, as we go further, you know, we're currently on all 5 devices, whether it's Apple TV, Samsung Smart Hub, Roku, Amazon, Google. We will just continue to make investments into this area.
And finally, just going back to the programmatic in a sense, what does programmatic mean for you guys? Is it sort of an auction? Is it private deals? Does it help? How does what's the role of programmatic in the revenue scheme for around video in particular?
Sure. So programmatic to me, and ultimately to the organization of Bloomberg, is a very simple definition. If it can be digitized, it will be digitized. If it is digitized, it will be bought and sold by a computer. Now today, we pay a tremendous amount of fees to middlemen and to different areas, and those fees over time will come down. And so it might not make sense to put all of our revenue in a programmatic path today when I can capture it in a direct manner. In the case of video, the demand is there that I could actually capture more revenue directly at a higher margin than I could programmatically. Now I could move it all to programmatic today if I wanted to, but it just wouldn't net the same amount of revenue to the bottom line of our organization. Over time though, what we will find is that anything that's digitized will be bought and sold by a computer. And so my view is in the long term, 100% of our revenue is programmatically derived.
And Keith, finally, the value of the brand is huge. News is one of the most compelling parts of the internet, and real news at that. What's the role of the value of Bloomberg News, you know, to marketers? What's the opportunity for them now in terms of being involved with the various parts of the business?
Sure. So I guess I'll step back and I'll answer it in 2 areas for you. First, as it relates to fake news. We see a tremendous amount of discussion as it relates to fake news, and I think that in an environment where fake news is prevalent, what you want to make sure you have is journalistic quality. And I think that the value of the brand halo is that it represents quality. And for me, what I think Bloomberg has always represented is a nonpartisan Switzerland approach to here's what's happening in the world today. I think that is backed up by the fact that we have the world's largest newsroom, 2,400 journalists to 2,600 journalists, depending on who any given sort of moment, in 153 countries worldwide. We produce about 5,000 pieces of content a day. The second aspect is it goes to a brand, and why would it want to affiliate itself with a journalistic organization like ours in the news space? And I think that when there's so many areas where news today can be questioned, you want to make sure that you align yourself with integrity.